Guns!
Let it rip, ladies and gentlemen. I got Chef Juice here,
The one and only.
and we're talking The Bear Season 3. Welcome to Requiem for a Tuesday. Your boy Adam Pecora here. Let's fucking go. Rate, review, subscribe to Requiem for a Tuesday. We're streaming everywhere you got podcasts. Go give a subscribe, give a review, do it all. You got multiple apps, you got multiple opportunities.
Rainbow Beach Records.
Sure. Multiplex, Wolfx, Chef Juice, making music, making moves. Listen to them.
August 24th, Starlight Skate Park.
Great.
Seriously.
I believe it, but
With Gnarly Gap. That'll be fun.
that will be fun.
Isn't that so fitting at a skate park?
It does make sense.
We played with them the last time, I think. Yeah. Maybe 2 times ago at that skate park. We played with Gnarly Gap.
Good guys, I'm sure.
Yeah. Fucking rips.
Come on out.
MicrowaveMinutes.com.
Yep. When's episode 2 coming out?
Soon. Very soon.
Yeah. So you can expect one episode every 8 to 12 weeks.
It's going great.
So, get invested.
I was, it's been an active couple of months.
RFAT.bigcartel.com. No, it hasn't. When nothing comes out, that's called inactive. by definition.
There's music coming out.
Yeah, okay.
Very soon.
This guy is a liar.
Maybe 2025.
So whatever. Not a chance. Check out all the stuff. There's links in the description below. Plenty of things. Check them all out. Good stuff.
In the meantime, here we are.
Here we are. Let it rip. The Bear Season 3. The moment has finally come. What a reliable, comforting show.
For real. The last 2 seasons, were we going to recap any of that?
Do we need to?
I don't think so, because they're just like...
Why are you listening to this episode if you haven't watched the first 2 seasons?
Star-studded fucking seasons.
So, yeah. Well, season 1, not really. They had to call in favors for that. We'll get into stuff like that. We definitely will talk about that level. Anyway, what are you looking at? Is there a fly in here?
No.
Okay.
I'm looking at the Radiohead poster.
You're making me nervous.
No. Sorry.
Anyway, we're going to do episode by episode breakdown, and then we'll get into like an overall thing. But point being, if you haven't watched the season, save this episode, pause it right now, come back to it when you're done. We're not pulling any punches here.
You always do that. You do a really good job at telling the listener, like, dude, like, don't listen to this.
Well,
if you don't
number
want to
one,
yeah,
people really complain about that.
Oh,
for other movie podcasts.
I didn't know that.
What do you expect anybody to say if they're going to talk about something but not mention any of what happens in it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
impossible.
It really is.
I can't do it. So I'm not good enough to beat around the bush, number one.
Is that what you're actually saying? Do some podcasts beat around the bush that much?
No. So some people are that good at it. Where they're like, they'll do the here's the first episode, and then we do the spoiler episode later.
Oh, okay.
People that are in the realm of we get advanced screenings of things. So we can talk about it before it comes out and then after it comes out. Those type of people. I'm not saying they're being lazy.
I mean,
it's a skill.
You not being able to beat around the bush isn't a lazy thing. It's just a thorough thing. Hence why you warn
I'm
the
a
listener.
direct man. And number 2, don't do the timestamp thing because that's too much work for me. So nobody would know when anything actually starts or doesn't start or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's do it up front. And it is it's implied for movie. Most of the time it's implied, I think. But I like to say it for any new release type stuff.
Because this came out last week.
This came out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
This came out, it will be less than 1 week from the release of this episode.
And let me just say, I was immediately ready. I was like, well, we should watch it tonight, right? To Hannah, and she's like, I guess.
Oh, I had it pre-planned. What does she mean, I guess?
I didn't say that. She said that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's she talking about? I'm going to have to talk to her. I guess. Please. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, dude. We had the food ready, and Hulu was up to the page at 7:01. We refreshed it and turned it right on.
That's fucking sick.
There
I
was
didn't
not.
do that at all.
It's my favorite show. Active.
Word. That's real.
Now that Succession's over, that's all that's
What a good
left.
show. Would you ever rewatch it?
What?
Succession.
Of course.
Nice.
What do you mean? I just said it was my favorite show that was on.
And just so I'm on the same page as you, did you rewatch any of the last episodes before you got onto the third season?
I was going to, and then all of a sudden the premiere date was like there, and I was like,
up.
"Oh, didn't even remember."
I was
in
just
time.
watching
By the time I remembered, there was not enough time.
There was an interview with Jeremy Allen White on Stephen Colbert. He said they wrapped like 2 weeks before they were like the last episode aired. 2 weeks.
Yeah, they turn around quick.
That's a quick turnaround.
They do it like old school TV style. They film it, edit it, it's ready, next one.
Wild.
I'm pretty sure. Their production schedule was insane from the jump. At first, because of low budget.
Oh.
And they had to just like fit it all in. And that's what I said they were calling in favors. Like Bernthal, that's a favor. McHale, that's a favor. That's why they're in it for 10 seconds.
Oh.
And then it's a surprise hit. Now, season 2, that's why they pulled out all the punches. Everybody's going everywhere. People want to be on the show. And it has the perk of this is the last time everybody was easy to schedule in terms of the main cast.
Right.
Whereas now, they filmed this season rumored to be back-to-back with season 4 because they're not going to be able to get everybody again anymore.
That's real.
Everybody's a movie star, you know?
I wonder how many more seasons they could do.
I think the 4th one will be the last one. The creator has said in interviews that it was never meant to be, like, they'd never had any intention of it being a long-term
project
show.
Right.
He said he envisioned it being 3 to 4. Now, when I say envisioned it, there's also no like master predetermined ending. It's not like Breaking Bad wasn't like that. Sorry. But whatever. But like he doesn't know how it's going to end. So that is how it is like Breaking Bad.
Got it.
But yeah, I feel like the 4th season will be the last one, especially after what the 3rd season was, which we will dive into right now.
Yeah, true.
So episode 1, what a fucking episode. What a beaut right off the bat. I'm fucking pumping my fist in the air. The magic is there. It's as high of a high as all of season 2. Like, to me, season 2 far surpassed the first season.
Yeah, energy-wise, for sure. And then this kicks off the third season in a really
in quality,
intense
just
way.
in general. Like, it just elevated. It became a better show. And I think this has all the nuances of that. It shows just how skilled everyone involved is yet again. Like, every year they flex their technical ability nonstop, as well as everybody's acting and all that. But, like, the fact that the whole first episode is basically a montage. Okay, let me back up, actually. Not even just that. I watched the pilot of this show, I was skeptical right away because they did that weird thing with the bear in the cage, and I was like, oh, this is going to be some weird, like, dream shit thing that I thought was going to be, like, an overarching thing, that there was going to be some weird, almost, like, supernatural element to this show.
Yeah.
Basically, that was just not a good way to intro this show because it was very misleading, at least when I watched it. And then that went away completely. And then they kind of tied it back in season 2, I feel like at one point, but I may be making that up. And then my second criticism that I would say from the beginning of the series.
I think it was on their opening night to some degree they brought that back. For sure.
That sounds right. And then my second thing was his backstory was weird, and it felt like they just couldn't decide it. They're like, oh, he was at French Laundry, but then he was in New York, but then he was at Noma.
Yeah.
And it's like, that seems pretty prolific.
Right.
This guy's 25. And it seemed like that was just we couldn't really pick what he did, so he did a bunch.
Yeah.
And then they kind of left that murky.
For the whole time until this episode.
And yes, and it felt like they were just like, you know what? This is now a highbrow, high-level show. We can't leave that to the weeds. Like, let's tie up loose ends is episode 1.
For sure.
And let's make it beautiful, and let's flex again. We'll get Mulaney for 7 seconds. We'll get Bernthal again. We'll get Jamie Lee Curtis again. We'll get all of them again. And have them say nothing or 1 or 2 sentences. And we will just fucking put our dicks on the table. And we're going to say, there's 12 lines of dialogue in this whole episode. And you're going to fucking eat it up. And that's what I did. There was not a moment where I wasn't like, this is taking my breath away. This is fucking magic. And this is why we love television.
For sure.
This show is the best. This is what it's all about.
In the same manner that it's disorienting because of all the jumps, because of how fast it is, it's almost as if, like you said, they tied up loose ends. They gave you how much stress you had to deal with for those first 2 seasons in like 1 episode. Just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, like this is what this guy's been up to.
This
for
is exactly
7
how
years.
he feels, so that you're going to get up to speed with like what you're about to go through with him. Because that's why I also love the episode, is because it's only basically, it's if we're worried about him the whole time.
But it's also basically like you're watching him get corrupted in a Pixar montage. You know what I mean?
And
it's like watching the Up guy lose his wife. Like that's what this was.
Bernthal's like part in that episode and pays off so well for the rest of the season. You're thinking about him when you don't see him on screen a lot of the time.
Yes. So this, jumping ahead, but that doesn't matter because, like I said, we're spoiling anyway. Turn it off if you don't want to hear. They basically reveal what the season is about in this episode, which
exactly.
It's about
love that.
It's about how you fucking end up like this, and it shows a young, eager, hungry kid with passion who's constantly just creating and coming up with ideas, and then you watch his life get ruined, basically, by both his family and
Joel McHale.
Well, but it's the family more than anything, because I would say you'd be naive to not understand that that's why Joel McHale was acting that way. Because I understand that about Kitchens.
That it was family more than
You're
him?
not listening. Okay. No. That the way Joel McHale acts is how it works. Like,
yeah, well,
you'd be naive to think otherwise.
No.
So to be like,
you're talking about the very end, how he like
I was answering what you said.
No, that guy was like that restaurant that he was at with that guy as the chef. That was the moment that it all changed, and that was what fucked him up the most, I think.
No, but you're not listening to my point. I'm saying you'd have to be naive to be like, that guy's being mean to me.
Oh, yeah, well...
And that's ruining my life. It's like, that's how it works, though. He's doing that as a motivational tool. Like, why are...
Well, it just seemed like all the other places were so peaceful and like, oh my gosh, I'm learning. You know, like it was really nice. Like the other chef, Daniel.
But I'm saying,
in that episode,
I have the awareness that like, that's how chefs act in certain kitchens.
Yeah, in certain kitchens.
Okay, but if you're already in the culinary world, then you're aware that that's
that
how
happens. Yes.
What I'm saying
agree.
is I don't think that you should believe that he got there and the guy was just that much of an asshole and that shocked him. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, that it was yes.
I think that he was so immersed in that being a part of his life that allowed what happened to his brother slip away from him completely.
That's true.
That's what the trauma came from.
Right.
I think that if his brother hadn't died while he was there, I don't think that he would view Joel McHale as negatively.
Oh, that's real.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
That is not something that I thought of at all.
Now, I don't know if they thought that nuancedly about it. My thing is just like nobody would be that high profile and see a chef acting that way and not understand that that's just his crazy like French style or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Because that's a very common thing. That
Yeah.
at least like even in movies and stuff, it's portrayed like super dramatic.
I also forgot the piece that he was there when he died. That was like you had that
well,
whole
that
scene.
was that in the first episode or was I
That was
jumping
the
ahead
first
for
scene.
that?
No, that was the first scene. That was the first. Sorry, that was the first episode.
And they kept reusing it though throughout the season.
We
They
came
kept
back to
showing-
that service because that was the service that
Right.
he was serving that thing with grapefruit or something.
the Sydney one.
Yeah, the Sydney one. The Sydney one?
When he served it to, it ended up
That's
being
correct.
for
Yes,
Sydney.
that's the
Right.
end of the first episode, right?
Right.
Oh, shit. Not my
Yeah,
shades.
and then they also did use stuff from this episode where they showed like different perspectives of it, like throughout the season later to keep like, you know what I
You're
mean?
right,
Like
they did come back
revealing
to it.
more.
Every time, like,
So that's why I wasn't sure if it was in this one or not. But
yeah, we came back to that steak a lot. That really tiny piece of steak that was probably so fucking good,
oh,
dude.
you
That's
can't
the
even-
one that he kept getting fucked up, like pissed at during service when they were serving it at the restaurant.
Right.
That was the end of season 1, though. We hit that. We hit it.
Episode 1.
Yeah. What episode 1? Sorry.
Right. But yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the point of like, what the fuck? This was so good. And the fact that they got more, they also added, they leveled up, not just, hey, here's a bunch of stars. We're going to get the real best chefs in the world in these
That
episodes
was really
too.
cool.
Like, that's fucking crazy. I had to look the one dude up. Daniel? I didn't know who that guy was.
Yeah.
But I was like, that seems like a real guy. So that was very cool.
Yeah, he's a legendary chef. It's pretty
right.
cool.
But I still think it is pretty unrealistic that he could have worked at that many restaurants of that caliber. It's like, what's he there for? 6 months at a time? How much are you really learning?
6 months to a year is usually what they do.
I mean, I guess if you are that prolific, you would learn
There
that
were
quickly.
actually, when I worked at Royster, there were a lot of people that just came through for a few months just
to level up.
to learn and go. Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they do. And it makes sense. If you want to work in the best places and you have the time and you are able to
Commit
do
to
it,
it.
then you do it, you know?
Right.
That's how you become like a really good experienced chef, is by traveling the world and doing it. This one
Right.
guy I knew, he did it off of cruise ships.
Well, that sounds terrible.
But he would get off and, wherever
Sure.
that best restaurant in the world is, he hangs
Right.
out there for 6 months to a year. Doesn't have anything tying him down. It's like perfect.
That is pretty smart.
Now, in Carmi's case, he was running away. He wasn't just...
Well, but that's the thing. His brother pushed him away. His entire family pushed him away to do it.
And you really
He
don't
did
realize it as much until now.
He
until
did
this
not
season.
want to run away.
Right.
He wanted to just run the beef shop.
He wanted to open
Well,
that
he wanted
restaurant.
to turn it into a restaurant.
Right.
Still, like it was always the dream of his.
It seems like that was midway through his career. He was home and he was talking about it, like before he died.
Right.
It was
That's
like-
the thing. Mikey just knew. He's like, that's not happening, bro. Like, I'm dying. Like he knew. And then it was also
Or was he stashing the cans in there for him? For Carmi? What do you think? He was working himself into a hole, or was he setting aside all that money so that they could really do it?
well, that was probably the intention, but he knew he was dying, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Either way, like he was like, I'm not gonna get out of this addiction.
Right.
So stay away from me and go like flourish. And then they also reveal that it was, I don't know if this is later either, but whatever, that after the 7 fishes, that's just when he decided to bail, like right then. So that
I guess I missed that. That was right after, huh?
yeah. And then it was also revealed that he could not go into his brother's funeral. They show him in the car
Right.
and he just doesn't go.
Right.
And it's like, come on, man. How do you not manage to do that?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
I just don't even understand that. That's another level of something
Right.
that's beyond what I'm dealing with. You know what
Right.
I mean? All right. And lastly, Well, this does lead us right into episode 2. What we left off was the non-negotiables list.
Oh yeah, that was all that first.
That was the whole
episode.
present day part of the first
Yeah.
episode, which is dumb.
Insane.
The whole. I also kind of disagree with this as a decision. Like, they very clearly needed some type of season arc, but they had already done all this and
Right.
decided what the restaurant was going to be, and they were supposed to just be figuring out the menu. Oh, one other thing that we left off was
The menu items at the restaurant.
one thing that they tied up. They're just like, oh, yeah, we said we were going to have a beef window on the side.
Right.
And then they just go, open it tomorrow, which I love that. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's assume that you guys actually did it, and then that's great. And it's there, and we just move on.
Right.
And that's cool, and that's good for continuity. That makes me happy. I hate when shows don't follow through on shit like that.
Do you think realistically they would keep the window too? I feel like they would, right? I would.
Yeah, why not? Because
Right.
the place wasn't struggling. It was still open at the very least. Regulars and all that
Yeah.
shit, you might as well.
Well, throughout the season, you learn that it's like basically the only thing making them money.
Right.
So it's like,
Which also makes sense. It's like like I said, the business was fine. If you can fit it in, you might as well do it.
exactly.
But yeah, I just don't think that he would go to that list when they'd already decided the whole thing. What is the point of
I think
changing it
it's-
at the last minute? That's going to ruin, like, planning is better, you know?
I think it's to like tie in that every second counts in that and ever, you know, and like kind of make you feel grounded in like that there's this like that the philosophy. It's like a written philosophy kind of deal. It's like it wants you to have something to be able to read.
Yeah, and I guess also kind of like what happened with Claire and the break that he had and that realization that he had, quote unquote, was like, oh no, I can't take this light. Like, I need to run it like I was running it in Denmark and San Francisco and New York.
Yeah,
And he's like, why would I not do that if that's all that I've ever done is the highest level shit? Like,
exactly.
so I guess that does kind of make sense. But
Yeah, he does. It's kind of like a losing his mind kind of deal. So
Correct.
here's my little.
my other
agreement.
thing, though, is that, like, yeah, how does he that quickly turn into Joel McHale?
True.
I just feel like the whole point and reason of why he was so interested in partnering with Sydney is that she kind of grounds him. And I don't know. I guess the implication is that, like, he needs Claire and Sydney to be grounded, basically. Like, he needs a mom and a girlfriend. And if he
No.
only has one, it's not enough. Like, I think that's pretty much the problem.
I think what we're supposed to understand is that even though I guess by the second season too, I started to realize that I'm not really a fan of Sid's character at all. I don't really like
That's a hot take. I love that. Keep
I don't
going.
really like Sydney's like whole inability to handle any real situation as a business person because she's supposed to be out of culinary school, able to handle this shit, and she's like can't like okay, so
But that's
this
her
is
trauma backstory also, though.
yeah, I get it, but also
He does
no,
not
I
get it.
don't. You
He's
didn't work
angry.
in the best restaurants in the world. You don't know really what you're about to get yourself into. So why are you having this inability to communicate with this guy who's very clearly traumatized more than you, disturbed,
You can't play that game.
disturbed, unwell? She is supposed to
But
be
that's on him.
She's not supposed to be this weathered chef. She's supposed to be this brand new, ready to go green chef who, if you are a green chef, you're a yes man. You sign that partnership agreement the second
But
episode.
that's not what a partnership is. That's her
yes,
problem.
it is when you're green and you don't realize that that is
You're angry.
yeah, dude, that's the biggest that's like also I just think that's one of the biggest holes in this whole story through the third season specifically is you're right.
Well, no.
How quickly did he become Joel McHale is because he's already as
He's at
fucked
that
up
level.
as him.
It's
So
not
like
about being more or less fucked up. That's not what the
I
ranking
mean fucked up
system
like
is.
rude to your employees and like unable to like not be able to handle yourself on the line on the pass and during service. And
But
she's
technically he's
choosing
not like
to
Joel
not say
McHale.
literally anything. right? So, well, wait, how do we get here? Why did you? What I
You're really mad. I don't know. This really struck a nerve with you.
yeah, because it was the second episode where I was like, this is weird. Why is this like this? Oh, because you were like, how is he becoming becoming this horrible chef? And it's because he's
But what I'm saying is that's not how it was going last year. That was the whole thing. She was always there to check him.
so for her to stop checking him immediately out of nowhere doesn't really make sense.
That is partially true. Well, I think the reason is I kind of get what you're saying, and I think that's also why she won't. There's two reasons combined why I think that she kind of falls back. Number one is just the reality that I think she does kind of realize, she does say it. You're making these dishes better, but that's not the point that I'm making. The point that she's trying to make is that, like, for me to be truly your partner means that I have a say in the menu and that you don't truly get to override my choices.
Right.
But she also has the anxiety problem, and she knows he's right. That number one, he is better, and number two, it's called The Bear after his name.
Right.
So I think she does kind of know that, like, this started as me being like your prodigy, but, like, by definition, we are supposed to be equal. Like, that's the partnership agreement. You know what I'm saying? So I think in, like, literal terms, that's why she's angry, but that's why she can't say it, though, because he is doing what's best for the menu, ultimately. But she's more hurt on a personal level.
Right.
But that's why she's not saying anything, because she is professional. And he just isn't handling anything properly.
Right.
And I would say the reason why he's not like Joel McHale, he's like that in terms of just being an asshole, but he really is just like a fucking explosive. Like, and that's not how it should be either way. Like, you still need to have your fucking shit together.
Right.
Like, Joel McHale's a robot.
Well, and
you know what I mean? You're a fucking bomb. That's so much worse.
And he's
unpredictable.
That's by the second episode, he's not that bad. It got worse really quick.
That's what I'm saying. It does seem sudden. And I get it. Like, but it's because it's a new season. You have to think this is happening right after the Claire thing.
Oh, no. And they
just opened.
That's true. But
that happened on
goes
opening
by,
night.
I know that happened on opening night. But time goes by really quickly in the second season. They do a lot of services, or what feels like a long time. Right. It's just like months have gone by now, and he's still being a fucking asshole.
But what I'm saying is, like, that technically just means it hasn't changed
and gotten worse.
It happened from opening night and just got worse. Right. That's what. That's
just
what
like
it's
zeroed, like in like less than their first year. It's like a disaster, you know.
Right. And I mean the whole episode's just super intense. All they do is fucking argue.
It's terrible.
Well, it's that him and Richie also can't say it to each other.
Right.
They're both holding in something deeper that's just building and building the whole time.
But I also think that Richie's getting better, though.
Richie has been getting. That's the
great.
problem. The problem with Carmy, with Richie specifically, is that everything Carmy did worked.
Right.
Like,
for Richie, you mean, specifically.
To train him and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that. Well, I think that's also kind of lost on everybody except for Marcus in this season, is that he just spent a year sending you guys all over the world and to all of these great places, and you all got 100% better at everything. And so, like, that's why they also harken back to, like, oh, day one, it was like a shitty beef shack that was filthy and disgusting. And it's like 1 year went by, and now this is like one of the nicest restaurants you've ever seen, like in cleanliness or whatever, all that stuff.
Oh, you mean they didn't acknowledge it enough?
I feel like nobody's really grateful.
Right.
Because he is an asshole, though. He does treat them like absolute dog shit.
Yes.
But he changed everybody's lives 100 times over on the staff.
It is also lost on...
Maybe not Sydney. Like, she would have gotten there anyway, you could argue, with somebody else.
Well, she got it at the expense of a lot of emotional turmoil because she got offered this other really great deal because of it. That's the payout. for her for
But you have
sure.
to remember that her origin was that like she had an offer at Alinea or whatever they
Yep.
say in like the first episode. So it's not like she wasn't sought after prior to this. She took a shot with him because she admired him because of that dish in New York.
Right.
But yes, then the guy from Ever is like, Ever's
This is-
closing.
That's a huge jump, though. But something does happen between her and him in the second or third episode, I'm pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken, they run into each other. No. That's still midway through the show, or this third season.
Are you sure?
I maybe it is the second episode that they run into each other. And something else happens between that guy.
No,
and
it's the fourth episode. You're right.
Got it. See, that's still.
But either way, yeah, their back and forth was essentially sign the agreement, but then she's just like, all you guys do. She was sick of everything, basically. I mean, she did confront him the one time, and she was just like, dude, I'm not your fucking babysitter.
Yep.
And that was awesome. The guy was totally out of control. Marcus returns, and everybody just has his back. But what I'm saying was when he comes back to Carmi, he's just like, I'm good with this list, like the non-negotiable list. He's like, whatever you want to do, man, just fucking make it happen. Like, make sure you actually get us to where you're trying to say, like, we need to go.
Yeah.
And, like, should you be on board with a raging lunatic? Like, kind of no. But at the same time, like, he's the only one qualified, and he's right about everything.
Yep.
It's just like, is this sustainable? Which it is not. So then we move to episode 3 officially. Kind of.
That was a rough episode, but it seemed entirely necessary.
Yes. And then we go to Marcus's funeral. He delivers a beautiful speech that's very sad, and it was incredibly moving.
I cried
Did you?
hard for
Really?
this one. Yeah, dude.
I
I just think that, in a similar way that Carmi had, ran away from his problems and, had this issue being at that restaurant when his brother died. Marcus, it's almost like a parallel with the way that Marcus is handling it, and it sets this dynamic that you really start to care about Carmi's character for this other reason now, which is like
but
he's trying to be there for somebody that might have gone through the same thing or is going through the same thing, and it's worse, or it seems, because Marcus is just like doesn't say much, and he's
he thinks Marcus is doing what he did.
right.
But the difference between the two is that Marcus was there for his mom and cared for his mom the whole time. So he assumes Marcus is feeling the same thing, but Marcus is actually at peace with it because she was sick for a long time and he knew it and he did everything he could.
That's true.
And like he said, he's like, she would have wanted me to be out living my life and not sitting there with her, as weird as that sounds. But like, and he's probably right about all that. The difference was Carmi left, didn't even know it happened, didn't answer any of the phone calls, and was just getting shit on by some guy at the same time. So it's like, and he probably just went to work the next day. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like they're literally like complete opposites, but they understand each other.
Yeah, but the funeral was just I was crying my little eyes out. It was. So
I believe
sad.
that. And that's when the bills start coming in, and he's like, why'd you spend $12,000 on butter?
The
Which-
money stuff does start to become a huge problem.
Which is absolutely insane. But this is the one part where it doesn't make sense, because I understand that you're going to go into a hole because the place is closed and then it's remodeling and it's all of that and you're getting nice shit. But I don't understand, even if he's this good, why would he be running a menu that doesn't make a profit? Because
it is an exaggeration for sure.
He would understand that if the place closes, he can't get a Michelin star.
No, they
You
do
know
talk
what I'm
about the
saying?
finances of it. They only were able to do part of it was not that he wasn't making food and selling it at the price that was making them money. It was that they weren't efficient enough because they were so angry at each other, or they just didn't operate well
right,
together.
they weren't turning
because
tables.
he wasn't doing. Yeah, they could only do. I think one night in that episode it was like 1.5 turns.
Yeah.
And it should have been like 2 3/4 or something.
Right.
Like turn the whole room twice and then some bar and like some people
100%.
sitting at the tables, but they couldn't even get through one full rotation out and then half of that.
Right.
That's a problem.
That is bad.
And that is,
But I will say the beef should be doing regular business as it used to.
right.
I feel like just acknowledge that it's offsetting it a little more than it actually is.
Yeah, no, you're right. The family investor isn't going to fucking be down their throats after they just made this entirely meticulous restaurant. Like,
And be like, oh, we've been open for 2 months. How am I Yeah, they just
But
should have done it a little more
yeah.
subtle. They went too far with it, I think.
well, they just hopped right into it. Like, he was immediately worried in this episode, and you're like, well, wait, like...
Yeah,
well,
but the
it's
time
also the
jump of all
factor
those
that
services
he's
fucks
still...
that up.
Carmi's family still owes that guy a bunch of money before.
Right.
So
he's
that's the
almost-
real thing.
He's almost $1 million in the hole, yeah.
Yeah, dude. And so is he. He's like, oh, I wish I was there for you guys. But really, he's been in debt with other people. That's what's going on, it seems like.
That's
like,
probably true.
that's when he starts talking about the computers in, like, the 3rd episode. It's like...
I will say they did make an effort to add comedy in with stuff like that, though, like a guy named Computer and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
They keep it light where they need to keep it light, but not for a well, I guess especially for this episode with the funeral, it is really necessary to have a little bit of humor. But even aside from us being so sad about, Marcus feeling the way he's feeling, you're also so upset and stressed out for the services that they have to go through
They're
in this
horrible.
episode. They're
Yeah, they're
so
horrible.
bad.
and they gave a bigger role to Maddie this season. Whole lot more Maddie Matheson throughout this season,
Yeah,
I
we
feel
love
like.
the facts.
And it's awesome. He's
They're
awesome.
great. Neil is fun too.
His brother is very clearly like, I'm clearly doing a bit every time he talks. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, that's what those guys are like,
No.
I mean, Maddie's
The other guy's not as good.
Maddie's a genuine
Yeah.
actor. He's like,
But that's the thing.
he's doing a
the
great
other guy's
job.
actually an actor, and he's not an actor.
I get it. I'm not trying to compare them.
They're literally brothers and next to each other in almost every scene they're in.
So you have no choice but to compare them.
Yes. And so Maddie's way up on that.
I
Like,
love that guy.
The thing
He's
when he,
awesome.
The thing when he tries to do when he tries to serve the soup or whatever, and then he just pours it and walks away.
That was so good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
No, it would be silly if Neil also worked dinner service. That would be fucking weird. It's funny that when, like, Maddie's best scenes is, like, when he's trying to do dinner service.
Yeah, right. And he has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would never be the case. Then Sydney gets a new apartment, which, whatever. I didn't really need that.
Is that the 3rd episode? That's
4th episode.
Oh,
We're
we're in the
moving on,
4th.
but I got it. I'm running through it. You don't need to pull it up.
I don't have it pulled up.
We're
I was looking at cats.
Yeah, that's worse. That was my point, really. And then right after that is when she runs into the Ever guy who's like, I'm starting a new place.
Yes.
Come get it. Now, seems odd that they don't really seem to know each other at all, and that he would just be that in on it without really knowing how involved she is at the Bear.
Oh, he's sleazy for that for sure.
He knows the one dish she did somehow. Like,
sleazy.
it seems like,
He ate there.
if anything, right.
Oh, he knew the one dish that she made?
Yes.
I thought she was like, I don't even know
because
who made it.
remember, correct, but that was the one that she leaked that one time in season 2. Doesn't matter.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I could be way off in that, but that's what I was assuming.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember
And he
that
was
much.
pissed that it was like her name drop or whatever. I don't know. I could be way off.
Anyway, yeah, they ran into each other.
I was assuming either that or that he had some beef with Carmi from when they worked at Ever.
I didn't even think that. I don't even think it is. It's about their relationship, like the guy at Evers and Carmi's relationship. I think that it's like
Sabotage, just in general.
No,
Like,
I
my new
literally just
restaurant's
think
gonna be
that
better.
he was like, I want to get the new young chef that's like got all the names in the papers, the guy at ever, so that I can have a successful restaurant now with the same person. Because even if her name wasn't all over the papers over it, like she's clearly the reason why this restaurant is doing what it's doing because Carmi has just kind of sabotaged himself in so many
But
ways.
nobody knows that publicly.
Oh, I didn't really think about that either.
Yeah.
So either way, it seems like a sleazy thing on his end, not just because of their relationship. It's just like, I want to get that new chef, you know?
Or I think it was that he ate there and he said that it was like loud and he heard them screaming. That's what it was, right?
He did say that. Yeah, he hinted
yeah.
at it.
And so he just knew he could poach her, but that's fucked up. Either way,
Yeah.
it's fucked up of him to do that, and it's fucked up of her to consider it. Really, like y'all just opened.
Again,
See
why
it through.
I didn't,
But also, that's also part of the thing. So we're supposed to assume that like a month or two has gone by, and she still hasn't signed the agreement. So
how's she getting paid? Hourly?
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Because then later on, the dude's like, I looked it over. You'll get paid this. It's like, so what? You haven't had a fucking check yet this whole time?
Right.
That's what's confusing. You sign a new apartment, you don't know what your salary is?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Like, yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
That is a big flaw. We're poking holes here.
Well,
I'm
and
not
the
that
thing
happy
about it is by the time, so in my head, it was like they opened, about 6 months go by, and then she runs into that guy, and still, like, we find out after the fact that someone else was able to read that partnership agreement. And so even with that partnership agreement from either places, they're like a couple $1,000s difference. Because
it was 10 grand a year.
Right, 10 grand of a difference a year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like silly.
To bail for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For
no,
some guy
to not
you
even
don't
do
know.
it yet. You know, to not even pull the trigger on either of them. As
Oh,
a
right.
young green chef,
Right.
you're like, I'm going to take the... It doesn't matter. You know what I
Take
mean?
one.
Yeah, take one, but don't be...
How are you indecisive? I see what your point is. Yeah. Signed a contract. That's huge. Yeah. I
The
get your point.
indecisiveness is a huge thing. I
But
feel
that's
like,
also
for
her thing.
Right.
That is her personality.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's not like it's out of character, but it is a little, little thin. This is also when we have Richie talk to his ex-wife's new hubby, and that was weird, and then nothing really came of that. I just
There
thought,
was no way that would happen ever.
yeah,
honestly.
it was just weird. I didn't like it.
Well, I guess we forget what happened to her family. What's going on with that? You know, like that seemed like a really important reason why they had such a weird dynamic.
They didn't really do Richie's divorce.
They didn't do Richie's divorce. How long were they even married? Like, we don't even really know.
Probably not very long. They talked about it.
Oh,
a
wait,
little
I guess
bit.
how old is the kid? They broke up right after they had the
Yeah,
kid, right?
correct. Yeah, so it's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it's weird.
I mean, yeah, he's gone into it slightly. It was basically just like Richie was a inconsiderate asshole for a long time.
Right.
There's nothing that crazy to it. That's why they're still able to get along.
Right.
And then also, I will say the other thing that's weird about the time jump is that they're like, at the end of this one, that's when they're like, oh no, the Trib was already here for a review. It's like, yeah, no shit. You've been open for months.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like,
They would have been there.
yeah, you're a well-known chef. There's going to be people there the first week. What are you talking about?
But,
like,
yeah,
you've
like-
been reviewed like 20 times, but like, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of reviews in the works. Like, what do you think's happening?
Well, I guess something to consider is that he has done restaurants for a long time, and he has worked at all these renowned restaurants. But like, I feel like we don't really consider him like a decorated chef as somebody that has been the front runner of many restaurants for a long time now. But he's worked under all of these really great chefs.
He would he would get the publicity, no problem. The fact that
that's true.
It's this simple. He fucking went to open. He inherited his brother's Italian beef restaurant, and Sydney knew he was there.
That's true.
People
You're right.
fucking
You're
know
right.
who this guy is.
Exactly.
He got invited to Ever's closing.
Exactly.
Like, he's legit.
I was
People
trying
would
to
know.
come up with logic as to why maybe people wouldn't know, but I guess it didn't work.
No, the hype would be huge.
Right.
They fucking got Grant in this show.
Wait, yeah. Are we gonna?
That's later. We'll get
Okay,
there, we'll get there,
because
I jumped ahead. I jumped ahead. That's basically it for season 4. Honestly, yeah. The personal life stuff so far in this didn't care for. Like we said, Sydney's thing with her dad could have just not been in there. Richie's thing with the new hubby could have just not been in there. Now, Richie's thing later with his ex-wife at the park, that was good, and I like that. And that actually progressed the story.
Well, here's the thing about all the different sides of the other characters outside of, Carmen and the whole storyline between, the brother and the family, etc., the money stuff, the restaurant itself. We started to really love all those same characters in the second season because they were all becoming successful and ready for their restaurant opening. Now it's almost like they're not tying up loose ends, but they're giving us little peeps into these characters that we liked and how stressful their personal lives can be.
That's a great point because season 1, no personal life.
Exactly.
Every part of it's in the restaurant. Now that was because of budget and whatever.
Well, no, it was so awesome. We were so stoked for it.
But that's the thing. Season 2, what was exciting was branching out and doing all this new stuff.
Yep.
And now they just kind of have to maintain it. And that's what it felt like. It felt like they had to instead of they wanted to.
Right. I think they had to because if we were to just watch this restaurant just get fucking rocked every night, I would not like the show.
I would still definitely do it either way.
No, dude, that would be fucking tragic to watch.
So we'll go to episode 5. This is going to be 2 hours long, by the way. We're not. But this is good. I'd rather be thorough.
Wait, sorry. What was the end of that last episode? That was the end of 4?
That's what I said. The Tribune. That was how it was
That's right.
cliffhanger. We're getting reviewed? But I get it. Also, they're trying to convey that that's how fucking chaotic and toxic this is. Nobody's paying attention.
That's a really good point.
Everybody's just on their toes.
Yep.
So,
they're just trying to get by
right.
at this point. It's no, you need to be on top of it and making money, and you just drop the ball majorly.
So next is when Computer comes in.
Oh, God.
And starts actually running through and cutting costs.
Up until this point, we've only seen Claire,
couple clips here or there, which is good.
I think the love interest was just a fun little, I don't know.
But he's not speaking to her. What's she going to do? We're just going to follow her around and now she's gets her own story?
I guess when I say that, I mean him fucking fixing that first. That seems like the first thing that I would have wanted to happen at the beginning of this season.
And that's why they didn't do that.
Exactly.
That's 100% why they didn't do that.
Exactly.
It's also just would be out of his character.
That's a good point.
They're keeping these people as real to themselves as they can.
That's real.
So that happens. He tells we got to cut Marcus's pay. Natalie's like, fuck that.
Yo. That was
right.
fucked up.
And then this to showcase how chaotic it is. They reviewed some dish and we haven't made that dish in months and we don't know what ingredients we used that night. And there's no way for us to know because we change the menu every day.
The non-negotiables are not working.
Correct. And then that's when the closure of Ever is a thing.
That's when it gets announced?
That's when it gets officially announced.
I was really confused. I thought that somebody there died.
Because, they said the funeral and all that stuff.
I didn't realize that was what they
made
that.
It seem like the chef died. I also thought that at
okay,
first.
That was... I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that way.
No, they made it seem like the chef died.
And that person is not an actual chef. That is an actress, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, that's Olivia Colman.
She's awesome.
She's not the chef of Ever, and Ever's not
She
closed.
really feels like the chef that whole time.
Right.
It's awesome.
But Ever's also not closing for the record.
I know that. I know that.
Going strong, yeah.
Well, now more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, I no, you couldn't get in there anyway. They were doing fine. That's a 2-star. Come on, 3 is that 3 now? I think it might have 3 now.
I don't know.
It has 2 or 3.
I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that all these people watching this show on Hulu are going to be like, we need to go and eat there now.
Yeah, until they see that it's a fucking 12-course, $300 tasting menu, and then they're not.
Everybody watches TV. You never know. Somebody might want to drop that pretty penny.
But people with money know about it. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not a secret.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Jesus Christ.
Not well, yeah.
You're just you don't have to argue on the show.
I'm not trying to argue.
We're going to argue naturally. You don't need to force it.
It wasn't a force.
Anyway. No, that was the end of the episode. Never mind. we got there anyway. Apparently not a lot happened on this one.
I mean, that was a big fucking deal.
I'm only going off of Wikipedia tiny recaps. So if I miss something, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like, the only reason, I was just kind of like, midway through the season, I was like, that's when I took my first break. You know, I binged it 2 times.
You know what? Same. I did 5 and then 3 and fell asleep and then did 2. But
I did 5 and 5.
This is a point that I wanted to make that I realized by the 3rd episode, like midway through the 3rd episode. I was like, oh, they didn't want to come up with that much of a story for this season.
Oh, for sure.
I could tell that they were stretching it out, which was fine. The episodes were excellent, as we had just said. Like, there was no fault in the episodes. Even if you think in season 1, the one-take episode, that episode's about nothing. The whole thing is just, here's a chaotic kitchen for 30 minutes. The show does this, and it does a great job of it. So that's not a criticism. But it was just very clear that not a whole lot was going to happen story-wise, and that it was just very noticeable. Like episode 1, no words, there's not really any dialogue, and like technically nothing happens. It's backstory stuff mostly.
Yeah.
And so that was like, oh, that was great and cool, and they fill in the blanks and all this stuff, and then just still kind of like nothing really happens, story-wise again. Obviously, a million things happen. And so by episode 5, oh, you know what? That was my other point for episode 5. By episode 5...
What's the name of episode 5 again?
Children. It was also 100... That's just... By then, it was 100% clear that, like, I was right. Like, my instincts were correct. You know what I mean? We're not doing a whole lot here.
Yeah.
Episode 5 upset me. Kind of a lot, to be honest. Because this show has always loved to do the surprise big star.
Yeah.
And they've always done a great job, and it always puts a smile on your face. You go, oh my God, I can't believe they got that guy. I can't believe this person's in this. That's great. This is awesome. Really cool. And then John Cena pops up. And honestly, like...
Oh my God.
Like I said, I was like on the edge of my seat, like pumping my fist in the air. I was smiling ear to ear through episode 1, through episode 2. I was just like, oh my God. They're not going to lose it. You know what I mean? Like, they're on this tier and they're handling it, and this show is in great hands, like reaffirming everything I could ever want. And then I saw that guy, and literally it was like my heart sunk a little bit.
Oh, that's so rough.
I felt like they jumped the shark. And I was concerned. Honestly, I was like, I knew that was going to be our stopping point. And I was like,
3 or was John Cena?
John Cena.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm kind of worried about the rest of this season now. Like,
And?
I'm worried about tomorrow. No, they didn't do anything like that again.
Okay.
But he was super out of place in this, I felt. He's pretty super out of place in everything. He's just not very good.
He looks funny.
The way that he lost weight in his face is very odd. Whatever he did with his cheeks and his jaw looks very strange. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, he's charming and can do comedic timing and all that stuff.
Yep.
But he's just John Cena. He doesn't turn into a character ever, and he's just a guy doing bits that is clearly John Cena.
Yep.
And he especially would not be a Fack brother.
No.
Like,
it just doesn't work.
You pigeonholed him into that just because you're like, we can get John Cena. And I'm sure they all had a lot of fun. And he seems very nice. I've met him, actually. I met him in 6th grade when I was very into wrestling.
How'd that go?
He's nice. He's not
got
gonna
big
be,
hands.
He's not gonna be mean to a child. Yeah, big everything. Big guy. Big guy. I had his signature. I think I gave it to one of our friends or something. I don't remember what happened to it.
That's funny.
Anyway, so I'm sure all of that was the case, but that part of the episode was just a complete dud to me. And every time he was on screen, I was just like, this isn't what this show is.
No, that was a whole weird beat that they took for
And-
the rest of that episode. Because even Richie was like super neurotic about the guy taking the photo. That's not something that I think he would do. Like that was
Yes
weird.
and no. Yes and no. It was weird. It was weird that he was like neurotic is the right word.
Yeah.
He would just be like more pushy. I don't know. It's hard to say because he's changed so much.
Maybe that's part of it. His neuroses is really kicking in for the photo of
But-
the plate. It just seems silly.
But yeah, he was just out of place and didn't really do anything either. Like his character didn't serve any purpose.
I love
like,
the joke.
We're waxing the floors. Like, let's get John Cena. It didn't work for me at all.
It was funny at the end. He had this thing about going to get a duck. He's like, I could get a garbage bag or something. I was like, that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
It was the very end
I'm not
of the
saying
episode.
though. I'm not saying that he didn't have good lines, that he didn't deliver well.
No.
It's just he was the wrong guy.
It was out of place. I mean, he
Yeah.
was a big guy in that kitchen. It looked funny. It really didn't look right.
Yeah, that should have been like. I don't know. No, I can't think of anybody, honestly, who would have been like a great fit right there.
It's
like
another
for
fact,
a fact,
brother.
like who would have been a fact? Yeah, I don't know. Josh Gad. That's not as big of a draw though.
That'd be so funny, actually. If it was him instead of John Cena, I would have loved that.
Or like Jonah Hill,
That would have been
like because he's
so cool.
He's at least like he has lost a
no,
bunch
he's
of weight.
too cool now.
No, I know he's got a lot of problems, but either way, but like just think about it. Like he's the one who lost weight of the three. He's the guy who's like doing a different thing.
I get. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He would at least fit the mold of like that could be their brother or something. I don't know, but it could have been anybody else. Michael Cera would have been better for that matter.
Jesus
like
Christ,
it doesn't
all right.
matter. No, it wouldn't have. But you know what I'm saying. It just wasn't the right choice,
No, I feel that.
and it really upset me.
And that was also the wait. That's not. Is that the computer episode still?
Yeah,
Okay.
same one. That episode was the weakest one for me.
I think by
'Cause
then
also,
too, you
that
start to
computer
learn.
Guy, he just came in and then was just like, "Oh, these numbers aren't good."
It
Like
was
he just,
weird.
it seemed like he was gonna show up and do more, and then just like had like a couple conversations that didn't really seem to have any weight or matter.
Yeah. I remember feeling like you're starting to really realize that the uncle guy is in way more financial trouble than you expected,
Right.
and
It
that
does reveal that.
it seems important for the rest of the story for sure.
Right. But
To learn
this
that
episode
and have that happen for the to put such emphasis on the photo shoot for the review is like it seemed like that was the important part for sure.
Well, I think if anything, too, this episode reveals more of what I just said than anything, that they just didn't have that much episode, like that
Right.
much story.
Right.
And honestly, like this episode could have not been in there and nothing would have really changed that much.
Yeah.
So this is the one where you really just felt them like trying to, it's like a filler.
Yeah. I also just think it speaks again to the pace of like how fast the days are moving for them, whereas this one day that has
Right.
a lot of weight to them, it slows down the show for
And
a
it doesn't
second.
seem like it justifies it.
Right. Yes, exactly. Everybody's really impatient in that episode for sure.
And then we move on to episode 6, directed by Io Edebiri. I don't know how to say her name. Close enough.
Directed?
Directed.
Whoa, dude.
And she did a great fucking job. This is the Tina backstory episode.
Bro.
Which she's the only one who really didn't get a fair shake last year.
Yep.
So this makes perfect sense. I love that they did this.
This episode got
was,
me fucked up.
It was excellent. First of all, shout out to the dude. I don't know his name, but he played Angel Batista in Dexter, and he was fucking awesome. When I read the Dexter books,
the husband.
I always heard his voice and saw his face. That's who that guy is.
It's weird you don't really see the kid ever.
They don't want to get into all that. That's just too
I'm
much
sure. No, it's fine. It makes it feel like you're closer to Tina the whole time. You're really seeing it through her.
So, interestingly, she worked at Long Grove Confectionery in the show. That's the place that lays her off.
Assholes.
Long Grove Confectionery is right over here by my apartment.
What? Really?
It's on Kimball and Addison. It's before Addison, but it's by the Home Depot.
Oh, sick.
Past Jung Boo. Shout out Jung Boo.
Love Jungbu.
Dude, I'll get a fucking pork bun right now.
Let's go
$2.99.
after this. I need to go shopping.
Oh, I'll go. All right.
Dude, I would love a bun. They stopped serving them at a certain time, though.
We might not make it. We'll get to it. It's fine.
Oh, that's so funny.
So she's working there, and they lay her off all of a sudden. And now she's commuting from Pilsen. I just gotta say, that'd be tough. That'd
Dude,
be
that's exactly
tough.
She had to go downtown. We know that for sure.
They had a lot of logistical problems in the second
They
season.
got it
that
right
I
this
pointed
time.
out.
I think they got it right.
I don't know if they got it right, her getting to that place, but they got it right after that.
Oh, you mean exact? No, I don't think they got it exact right. I think that they got the feeling of transporting longer make more sense now.
Yeah, that's
Before
true.
it was like, she's at Kasama. Now she's in River North. It's like, dude, no way.
Yeah,
Like,
that was irritating.
now she's in Chinatown. It's like, no, dude.
Well, there was also a thing where like Richie left Ever, which was supposed to be. They claimed it was in Lincoln Park, I believe.
Which it's in West Loop,
Which
right?
it's in West Loop.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't know. We'd have to go back and review the
No,
tape.
it's not good. Now I feel like it just feels like a long commute, you know?
So anyway, she's going place to place, just getting rejected constantly.
It's rough.
Getting rejection emails some places. She goes to a place for an interview, and they're like, nah, we filled it already. Like, fuck off. And she basically just keeps getting rejected by younger and younger people.
It's real, dude, and like you really I think you see it in her eyes over time. Like she's so eager at the beginning, and by the time, 30 minutes or 15 minutes into the episode, she's like fucking
She's
losing it, dude.
And that's how it is, man. That's discouraging.
That happens to a lot of fucking people too.
And imagine you have a kid on top of that. Like if I lost my job, I'd be fucked, Yeah,
dude.
So
and the little thing that they sprinkle in there the whole time, dude, she makes dinner almost every time.
right.
And it's fucking like, dude,
And you can tell
what a bitch.
You can tell she loves doing it.
in a good way. Yeah, that she loves doing it. Yes. It's like the one time she's smiling throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's so rough. Other than when she has to force a smile when she gets rejected at whatever other desk, you
and
know.
stays nice to everybody, professional the whole way, pretty much. She
Yep.
snaps at that one person at the end, but she was right. That person was being a dick. Wouldn't even look at her.
No, dude, rightfully so. She should curse that person out.
I
Like,
would.
I would too. Like, fuck you. Take
I'd be
your shit
like,
down.
I'd be like, fucking look at me, dude.
Yeah, that was the worst. Or it was either they wouldn't look or they were just like pretentious about it. I don't know. It's like looking down at her and shit.
And then like she goes to the one place and she's like, "Oh, you need a bachelor's degree." And she's like, "This is my job that I did for 10
dude,
years."
that's so messed up, dude.
That's how it is, though.
I mean, yeah, that is. People do only accept, degrees, but it's still like.
And then, so this is a one, and then she ends up at the Beef because she was in River North, I assume, for that interview. So she just walks over there, goes to get a cup of coffee. They just give it to her because who the fuck gets coffee at a Beef
Richie
place?
gives her the coffee.
Correct. Which
and you're just like,
they probably
this
would do
fucking
that.
asshole. I love him.
Why do they even have it? And then he just gives her a sandwich because nobody came to pick it up.
Yep. Just like courteous neighborhood shit. You know that exists everywhere, and it's great,
For sure.
Very clearly looked like she was having a bad day. And
No. That's not what it was at all.
You don't think so?
She was there for 5 seconds. And
That's
she's like,
true.
"Can I get a coffee?" And he's like, "Here, don't worry about it."
Yeah, that's true.
And then that's why they showed someone not pick up their sandwich. And he just goes,
Right.
"Here, take it."
Right. Oh, it was not their day. I get it.
Yeah. He's just trying to move the restaurant along. He doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. They don't need money. Somebody paid for that sandwich, and who gives a fuck about the coffee?
That's true.
So then she goes in the room by herself, and she just basically starts breaking down, and then Mikey realizes it.
Well, the facts are playing the arcade machines.
You're right. Sorry I left that detail out.
It's beautiful.
If I didn't mention that the facts were playing the arcade machines, people would have no idea the complexity of this episode.
It added a little bit of a level of complexity because,
No, it didn't.
Mikey walks in.
No
and,
complexity.
yeah, it did. I think that they're the ones that called out Tina crying, right? Or was it Mikey? I don't
It
remember.
doesn't matter. The point is somebody would have noticed that there's a woman crying.
Yeah, she's like bawling too.
Yeah,
It's
she's
fucking
weeping.
rough. It's rough.
Yeah. Anyway, so he goes over and talks to her, and they just have like a real, genuine, human, awesome conversation. They hit it off right away. And naturally, he's like, "Well, my job's fucked too because I'm short a person." So you knew where this was going right away anyway.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and then they share everything with each other, and it's just awesome, and she gets the job.
It's like, yeah, painting the obvious was really cool, like how she ended up there and why she and why. It was just, it was sick.
Yeah, how do you end up working at this place for this long?
The coolest part was the callback to the earlier scene of Carmi sending the photo of that dish to his brother. And then the call, like you see it, like
Right.
him showing Tina.
Like she knew about Carmi right away, too.
Yes.
And it shows how much Mikey really did admire him and was doing it for Carmi.
Yes.
The whole time, he had Carmi's best interests in mind.
Yes.
And it also just speaks to, like, okay, that's where... So Tina was a bookkeeper at a chocolate company, and now she's working at this high-end restaurant. Like, it just goes again to show, like, just how far everybody's really made it.
Yeah.
Because you also think she was the stubborn one at the beef who didn't want to change anything either, even when Carmi came, and she knew how talented he was.
It puts an edge on why she was doing that is because she was afraid that she was going to lose her job.
Yes.
For sure.
Right. So they did a wonderful job of bringing everything back together.
Her character just became like, top 5 for me in that whole show now. Like that was what it did for me.
I did not like her season 1.
I didn't either.
And then season 2, she grew on you. And by now, it's like, how can you not love Tina? Like they know what they manipulate you in this show.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. And that episode was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
It was fun. I was crying too. I got 2 out of 10. I was just, tears are flowing. Flowing hard.
Now we go to the next one. And it opens with Carmi at an AA meeting, and basically to juxtapose the season 2 one where he does that massive monologue for 5 minutes or whatever, and it's incredible. He doesn't speak at all and just listens.
That's great.
And basically someone just explains his exact situation where he's like, it's hard for me to accept someone's apology because I have to live with what they did and they get to move on because I accept their apology.
Right.
In this case, Carmi would be the one apologizing, but it also applies to like his mom to him and him to other people and whatever. But it's about Claire mainly.
Yeah.
And Richie. He can't apologize to either of them because of what he did to them. He can't forgive himself is really what it is.
I didn't think about any of that when that was happening. I don't know why.
Oh, really? I thought it was pretty blatant. Like, we're hitting this on the head here. And then, okay, wait a second.
Yeah, I feel like
I need to backtrack.
Go ahead.
You were right. This is also the episode where he officially offers Sydney the job.
The guy at Ever. Yeah.
Episode 4, he just says that he ate there and that it was chaotic. It was the nugget. Then it closes. Second nugget. This is the third nugget. And, well, not a nugget. It actually happens. So just to clear that up.
Yeah. I don't remember what Sid was doing in this episode, honestly.
That's it. That's when she runs into him.
Oh, okay.
And she still just like hasn't signed the contract, and that's when... Let me keep going. We'll get there.
Yeah, I just like...
So after he asks her the job, that's when Carmi has that talk with Marcus, like about legacy. And Marcus is basically just like, just that everybody knows I was a good guy and I tried my best and I did everything I could. And Carmi's like, I want to be remembered forever. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, man, like, kudos to you, but I'm on a whole nother ball game here.
Well, no, it comes up too because
of the...
It seems like Marcus is trying to find a new legacy for himself too. Even though he says that, I feel like you can tell, like, in order who's most worried about their legacy by how committed they are to this crazy project.
Right.
Because Carmi's like, I'm killing myself over this thing. And Marcus is like, I'm here all the time and I only have 2 dishes on the menu. And then what's her name is like sneaking in and putting her stuff in her locker. Like, I don't really want to talk about it. You know, it's like,
Right.
it's like that. And that's how that episode opens too, right?
No, it opens with the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
Oh, and then it goes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I remember getting the ick over her character after that. I was like, oh, like you're very clearly not interested in like making this work, and you should just take this other deal and you should quit, dude. Like, why are you gonna stress yourself out more, you know?
She should just take the deal.
Because
She just needs to pick. Yeah, just pick one. I don't know how else.
it was
to say that.
ridiculous. I also fucking loved, because after the funeral, Mark, you just like get this glimpse into Marcus's life a little bit more, and I think that this is the episode that Sid visits him when he's got to like close his mom's house, like he's selling it or packing up or some shit.
That sounds right.
But like
That like precedes the conversation. I
well,
think.
yeah, he just like continues to have these like really crazy looking dishes like on his table.
Yeah, he's
and
super
we never
committed.
really see them on the tables, you know?
Well, it's because we know that he doesn't work fast, though. That's his whole problem.
Yes, exactly.
He has the right ambition and creativity, but he doesn't have the speed level as everybody. You have to be able to create quickly. He's able to create, but he's not able to do it at a high enough level yet.
Yeah.
They also rehire old staff from... So, in the flashbacks to the old original beef with Mikey, there was like...
Oh, I loved that.
There was like those two other guys that worked there.
Yeah, one of the guys drops off something
Right.
earlier in the season, too.
Earlier in the season, yeah. And then, well, they're the ones who say, like, this is running like shit. All
Yeah.
the locals are pissed. And so they bring those guys back, and it's good that they showed them a couple other times. And in the backstory, they basically worked with Richie to run the shop, and now they're back, and then that's really it.
Maybe it wasn't making money until then, you know?
Well, it was running horribly with the dude by himself. He
Yeah.
could not handle it at all.
It was bad.
But how could you? How can you ring people and make all the food? No matter what, that's a disaster.
Yeah. It's not really a thing, to be honest.
That's not possible.
Right.
You can do that at like Dairy Queen.
And that's a disaster.
Yeah, it's still not easy. Especially if there's a drive-thru.
Fuck that.
And that's when they really show Sydney just being very clearly frustrated with Carmi entirely, and they're just sprinkling the seed even more that she's really considering leaving. And then it ends with Claire Bear popping the water at Restaurant Depot.
Yeah, dude. Getting fucking Seafolds. The name of the episode should have been Seafolds. You know? And
Call Christopher
nobody answered their phone, dude. And guess who had to show up? Fucking
Jamie
legend.
Lee. I don't buy that no one answers the phone either.
They
Not one of them.
Right. Especially with the pregnant lady
I
going to
get it because
Seafolds.
there's service, I guess.
Yeah.
They're all in their locker.
Weird.
Is that what we're implying?
That is what they're implying.
You know what?
I thought for a second-
No, but they also did say that the restaurant itself doesn't have a phone. Remember?
That is correct.
So there was no way for her to call. It does add up.
Yeah.
But I will say,
Well, he would have fucking screamed at him if you know, Carmi
Yeah.
would be very upset.
but I'm saying like nobody followed up after.
right.
Which,
Well, no, they did. It's implied that they did, I think. Then
is it?
yeah, because she's going into labor like at the beginning of service, and by the time service is over, the husband is already there.
Well, I'm talking about everybody else.
I know, but like it's implied that they find out after service.
How?
I don't know, because the next day happens.
And when does she ever talk to anybody else?
She hasn't yet
That's my point.
on screen. But no, I mean the husband's what's his name? He's gonna tell them, you know. And like, no, that's not true. The facts, or they didn't show up.
Nobody showed up. That's what I'm trying to say.
I didn't even realize that,
Nobody
dude.
showed up or talked to her the rest of the season.
That's weird. That's so weird.
So anyway, let's go through the episode though.
That's so fucked up. I didn't realize that.
She's unable to reach her husband, and then nobody in the restaurant calls because they're all in service. She calls Jamie Lee Curtis, her mom,
God.
who shows up and actually is able to help her, which is surprising, and she's not that crazy. I thought what was going to happen was...
she was going to go crazy.
Well, no, she kept saying, like, did you call my husband? And she kept saying, yeah.
I thought she lied.
I thought they were implying that she was lying and was just being psycho.
Yep, same.
Which wasn't the case. And she does reveal, she's like, I've been working on myself, which is enough. Great. Again, I love it. You don't got to go deep into everything. She's been living her life this whole time, so maybe she has been working on it finally.
Right. Yeah. That's always something to consider.
And it basically does say, like, okay, Carmi's the only one left in this entire show who
That
hasn't worked
changed.
on themselves
Yeah,
at all.
dude. Even the mom. That's true. He
Even the
never
mom.
calls his mom.
Well, he shouldn't. She's fucked up.
Well, no, that's the whole thing. She's trying, you know.
No, but he just needs to work on himself. He doesn't need to call his mom.
Part of that is calling his mom, I think.
That's
man.
way down the road, though. I'm
I
just
guess,
saying
yeah.
baby steps here, man.
Yeah, man. Just like get through service.
Yeah. Just like be able to say sorry to somebody.
Well, I mean, granted, he's still making meticulously constructed new menus every day, so it takes a lot of time. I get it. It's good food.
Yeah, but he's pushing his
I get
life
it.
away
I
to
get
do
it.
it.
I get
yeah.
it. I know the whole show.
Doesn't sound like it.
Right. But like, I get it.
Anyway, Pete finally does show up, and well, she also confesses to her mom before he shows up that she's like, yeah, I'm worried that I'm going to be like you, basically. And her mom's like, yeah, you kind of should, but like you're not like me. Like you'll be fine, which is nice. And then Pete finally shows up, and that's it.
Pete, there you go.
Oh, that is the facts are there. At the
They
end,
do show up, yeah.
they are with Donna
Yes.
when she gets to the lobby.
They
or
show
whatever.
up. So they do find out.
It's at least implied that the facts did something,
Right.
but nobody else shows up or ever talks to her again.
No, but the next episode, Sid does go out there because that's when she finds out the salary of the original partnership. She brings them
That is
fucking food.
True.
Yeah, but then nobody else. I don't
Carmi
think.
and Richie is the point that I'm trying
That is
to make.
I understand that that's the point you're trying to make because that sucks.
They're the family.
You're right.
Like that's the open thing that maybe we'll get to later. Anyway.
Oh, for sure. They dragged that out. That's why they never touched upon it. You know, we're gonna have to
Right.
deal with that all next season.
Also,
Probably.
the whole thing with Pete, it's just like, yeah, we get it that he's like, it's weird that he's like dumb, but he's not. I just don't like him at all.
I don't really either.
Like
He's aloof. That's the thing.
But I feel like he's supposed to be like comic relief. That he's like kind of dumb, but he's just like ignorant.
Well,
he's
he's
not even just like he's not like lovably stupid. He's just like lacks awareness in all situations completely, but not in an adoring way.
I thought that they
it's
were like
just irritating.
they were making him like funnier, like earlier in the show, and now because of the reality of being a dad, he's like confused and also kind of dumb. You know, like he doesn't really know what he's gonna do.
I don't think
know?
he's changed that. I feel like he's been the same way the whole time.
Well,
It just
no,
doesn't
right. I
work.
just think they kind of like hit the way
But then
that
the
his
fact that
dialogue
he's
is
also
now.
supposed to be this like financial guy because he can read a contract for Sid, so he is smart. Like that doesn't make sense.
He's a money guy. They're not good at talking or being a dad.
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out.
It doesn't add up to me at all. Just that character just seems underdeveloped.
I'm not really a fan of him. No.
The facts try to get Carmi to apologize to Claire while they're out in the dumpster, and he basically just blows that off.
Yeah, I mean, is that the end of that next?
Nope,
that's it?
starting a new one. We're moving forward,
Is this
bud.
sorry? Which one is this? Episode 8.
9. We're moving forward, bud.
This is episode 9.
No, I'm lying.
He does blow it off, but then fucking he I mean, he what the fuck does he do?
Try to move it forward.
Oh, you want to move it forward? Go right ahead. 9.
So next, that is when he invites her officially to go to the final ever service because she's not invited, just he's invited.
Yes.
And so that's
Not
kind
a
of
funeral, just a restaurant service.
so that is kind of him being like, "Hey,
I love you, dude.
Olive Branch, like
Yes.
didn't forget about you. Like I'm just kind of doing my thing here, you know, like it's kind of a way of him letting you know, like, hey, I'm like, you're still my partner. Like, you know, I'm out of control. Like,
Yeah.
what else can we do here?
But doesn't ever actually say it.
And they're also anticipating the Tribune review because it's due at any moment now that the photo shoot and everything happened. And that's also when Cicero reiterates, like, hey, man, if this review isn't good, like, we might just go out of business pretty much.
Yeah,
like,
he said that he's done.
This is pretty much going to make or break the restaurant.
Service is still not going very well, but it's getting better.
Because of Richie.
Because of Richie, that's correct. He's got like this love interest in that girl at Ever too, and you're like, ooh, is something gonna happen?
That didn't happen yet, but yes, you're right, and that is definitely going to happen. She's going to be the date to his wife's wedding.
Yeah,
100%,
that's real.
100%.
That's stupid. He shouldn't go.
So, this is when he has the conversation with Tiff, his ex, about going to his wedding, and he's like, I don't want to go. And she's basically like, I don't give a fuck, man. Like, do this for our kid. Like,
right.
We need to seem good for our kid. And we are good. Like, you've come a long way here. Like, you clearly understand that we're not getting back together finally.
Right.
And we can actually talk to each other, all this shit.
Right.
They're finally in a good place. And she's right.
Yeah.
If you're actually in a good spot, then yeah, he should come. Like, if it were toxic or something and you're just trying to force him to come, that's a whole nother story.
That's true. That was a good conversation that they had too, I feel like.
And then the restaurant is
park.
obviously closed, so they can all go to the Ever dinner, and that is when both Marcus and Tina pull up while it's closed, like without, just by chance, they both happen to do it because they're both clearly very committed and just trying to work on shit. So that's always like really cool to see. Again, because think about like how little everybody cared about everything back when it was just a beef sandwich shop, and now they're coming in on their day off to like experiment with dishes and all this shit.
Yeah.
So like the place really technically is in the right trajectory. Like they have the right people in the right mindset and all that. That is next is when Sydney delivers the food to them and finds out that Carmi's giving less money and less benefits, which,
yeah,
like you said, it's not that much less. And the fact that she wouldn't understand. Okay. This is where I think we have the real, like, we agree that this is a huge error here. She knew that place was fucking funded with money from tomato cans. She knew that they would have to go even deeper into debt with just some guy named Jimmy Cicero to open it into the Bear. So she knew. They also all in the second season deferred their pay because that's what you have to do to open a place. She knew all of this stuff.
You don't
and
normally.
I think that's probably for ownership stakes. Partners.
Agreed.
The partners, 100%. So she knew all of that and did all of that and was willing to do all of that and was completely aware of everything.
Did it without signing a dotted line for already a long time.
And admitted skepticism in doing so, but did it for commitment.
When it was a beef shack.
And now is all of a sudden surprised that that she would be getting more money from someone who's at an established restaurant starting a new one with more money behind him without a prior debt. It's pretty clear that he would have a better offer.
Right.
Like, to me, that's the biggest flaw.
Head scratch for
if
sure.
If anything, the differences should have been way bigger. Like,
right.
She goes, benefits, his are from the start. Yours are 90 days. And then she goes like, we might just not even make it to when I get
She's like,
benefits.
if I live that long, it's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
She meant the restaurant because she knows that it might close.
Oh, I thought she
but
meant
I'm just
her
saying,
like sarcastically. But yeah.
If you know that it might close, that means that you have your answer.
Exactly.
You know, like you shouldn't be worried about the benefits not being able to kick in. You would just be out of a job. 90 days is fine. You're still going to get benefits. So that whole, that's just such a weird little nitpick to me.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, if you're a partner in the place, you expect to be there for years anyway. So, I don't even see the thing there. Especially when you currently don't have any insurance and the place has been open.
And the biggest thing is what you brought up. Like, you just signed a new lease. You moved out of your dad's apartment. or house,
But again-
whatever. Like,
but
how
also,
do you not know?
if it's been open for even
Right.
1 month at this point, that means you're getting closer to having your insurance kick in. Had you just signed the fucking contract?
Yeah, and I feel like this
Like-
this whole episode, that episode 9 really leans into her story, and I'm like, I could care less. I really could care less about this whiny baby.
See, to me, it's more so like, if she's that willing to just bail, then let her fucking bail. Like, what was the whole point of building all this up?
yeah,
Just for some guy we don't know either? Like, if that character from Ever had, like, more of a backstory in the show, it would mean more. But if she's just willing to just go fucking leave for this guy, yeah, 10 more grand a year, I'd take that raise right now. You know, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. But
Right,
if we're gonna
right.
if we're gonna act like that's some substantially way better
Right.
offer, like, it just isn't.
if it was 70 to 100, you know,
Yeah, you
Or-
you sign with that other guy without even reading anything else. Like, what do you?
Well,
talk?
no.
You don't even talk to Carmi first. You sign it, then talk to him. If it's 30 grand more, like,
exactly. Okay, realistically, right? I think the other little thing that I think that happens in this episode is that uncle, Jimmy Cicero,
I don't even know if his name's Jimmy, but it's Cicero for sure.
he realizes at some point before they're about to get the review, and before he told Carmi, or during the same time he's telling Carmi, like, I'm gonna pull out, he's realized that Sid might be this potential partner, is really good at her job. Technically, I think that Cicero would find a way to recoup his money by keeping her around and making sure that she was the person that was getting paid out. If she was the one that was going to make the money and the one that was so good and, like, this, like, sought-after chef, like, that's a part of a reason why I think that the whole that you're saying makes sense.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that factor, that you can negotiate a contract. Also,
Right. It's
hey,
just-
I need 10 more grand a year and my benefits to start up front.
Right.
Okay.
So what?
Like, yeah. I didn't, honestly.
We're expected to
Didn't even
believe that,
consider that.
nobody else knows about this failing business and are trying to save this business and aren't aware that maybe this one chef who's very clearly frustrated every single night with the head chef isn't getting other offers. Like, that also just wouldn't happen. They're all so close in proximity all the time, and they're always seeing each other, and they're the best of friends. Like, there's no way.
But she's not really in the circle like that.
She's at service every night, man. She has no choice.
But that's what I'm saying. So nobody would know about her like that. Nobody would know how to find her.
I think that visually, by the way she's acting in the middle of service, by the way, Carmen, like, the way she had to react to Carmen all the time, like, it's obvious. It was obvious. I think. That's just my take.
What do you
though.
mean, that she's had a bunch of offers?
No, that she's thinking about leaving in the first place.
Well, yeah, of course that's obvious.
Yeah, and I guess that's a,
What do you mean? Yeah, they've been building towards that the whole season.
Does it seem apparent to you that
She's
Carmen
frustrated.
realizes it too?
No, he has no idea what's
Okay.
going on. He's
Yeah.
completely absorbed in his own world.
Right.
He doesn't know what he's doing to anybody. We'll get there.
That's a good point.
We'll get there in the last episode. I feel like they point that
They
out
do
pretty
drive
quick.
it home.
Yeah,
They do
just
really
like
drive it home.
the AA meeting. They basically do the same thing again.
Right. You
and
really
then-
get those glitches.
And
those-
then the last part that we left out, the facts go to the hospital and tell Claire that Carmi wants her back. And,
yes,
And I love how many times
didn't really need it.
Maddie has said, I'm his best friend
Yeah.
throughout this thing, even though they probably, I think at the dumpster was maybe the only time they spoke to each other the whole season.
Yep.
Like, they didn't talk ever. And he's like, yeah, he's my best friend. So that's great. And yeah, that went on a little too long, that scene, but it's nice that they went there. I think they needed to do it just to set up. They're like, she's obviously going to be in the 4th season, and
Yeah.
they're obviously going to tie
They're
this
gonna
up.
be happily ever after.
No, they're not. They're not. But yeah, he's going to call her at some point. They're alluding to him doing it or not doing it throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
Even in the first episode, it's like, who's he calling? Oh, he's calling Richie.
Right.
So they do all that
He's
stuff.
literally got his thumb on the trigger on his phone in that 9th episode, I'm pretty sure.
Right. But basically, I mean, they are right. what they say to her. They're like, he wants to say he's sorry and he wants to say he loves you, but he can't.
Right. He's just being him.
But like the shit he said to her, I mean, just brutal. It was an accident too. It is kind of her fault.
Right.
I mean, it's his fault. You shouldn't say that out loud, period. But she shouldn't have been there.
Right.
Technically.
Right.
Technically, she should not have been there.
Yeah, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, lady.
So now we're on episode 10. This episode was too long, number one. They dragged the fuck
Was it a
out of this
longer
episode.
running time?
Like 4 of the episodes this season went over. They went to like 40 minutes.
Yeah, you got to stop doing that.
No, not true. The first episode was 40 minutes.
Too long.
No, it wasn't. It was perfect. We just gushed over it.
Stressful.
In this episode,
I get it.
So now this one, they're at the closing of Ever.
But I do think that it was too long, yeah. I agree.
So this one, we're at the closing of Ever. Richie just spends time in the back with his old homies from Forks the previous season.
No, with his girlfriend.
Well, but the other dude, too, the Asian guy.
Well, it's not actually his girlfriend. I was just kidding. Like, he really, like,
Thanks.
admires her, you know? Like, he's, like, sitting on the table like a little baby.
Yeah, he has a crush on her very clearly. But he also is talking to the Asian guy who trained him.
Right.
So, yes. Anyway. Carmi finally talks to Will Poulter, and they also revealed this season. They confirmed this season that those guys worked together multiple times.
Oh, that was sweet, yeah.
And they finally talk.
He was so funny.
Sydney talks to him, and they get along really well. And they basically just bounce around and show fake chefs talking with real chefs. Grant Atchett's number 1
I think it's
on the board.
Atkins.
I don't care. Number 1 on the board.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, basically Will Poulter just talks his ear off and fangirls to him, and
Yes.
he's just like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yep.
Because you shouldn't. They're all supposed to be peers there, so that would be annoying.
Well, yeah, by the end of it, he was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
You know?
So that was pretty funny. And then we finally, after way too much time, get to the point where after seeing Joel McHale across the restaurant, he finally goes and talks to him after about there's like that 10-minute stretch where they just go around the table and they're all just telling kitchen stories. Listen, I get it. You wanted to get real chefs to tell real stories in the show to make it more authentic. That's great. Completely derails the pacing of what's supposed to be the series finale. Should have found a way to put this somewhere else.
100%.
I was like, can we just get on with it, please? Like,
the whole thing is they're impatient, you know?
I'm invested in the bear. I don't give a fuck about what these people have to say, and the stories weren't that interesting, really. Sorry, but I did not like that at all. So then he finally confronts Joel McHale, which was electric. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is a finale moment. And I love it right away. McHale's like, he says his name wrong on purpose. That was awesome. Like, I don't really remember you.
It was like Beerzotto or something.
Well, that's pretty much what his name is. He was like Berrezzini or something.
Yeah, yep.
And
fucking dick.
He was just like, yeah, I've really thought that I'd have a lot more to say to you. And he's like, well, what do you have to say? And he's like, fuck you. And he's like, that's it? Great. I got to pee. And then Carmi finally like comes up with what he's going to actually say. And this was the point I was making at the beginning of the podcast. Carmi goes, you're a fucking asshole. You ruined my life. And he's like, nope. I got you to where you are right now. You're here with me because of me. And he's like, what? And that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how he'd be shocked by that. Right. I understand how he would have been almost like Stockholm syndromed by it, to where, yes, if he cut everything else out of his life and that place is only his life and that's the only way he's being spoken to, that'll eventually get into your brain as a like, I am a piece of shit. I guess I get that point that like he was damaged by it. But for him to not acknowledge that it was on purpose, I just don't see how he could be that naive.
Yeah, no, that's a good
The fact that Joel McHale had to say those words out loud, I feel like I knew that from episode 1 when they showed it.
I also think that part of it is
Like season 1
like
episode 1.
Carmi's not like a chef like Joel McHale in the fact that he just takes his work home with him too much. You know, he got it got too into his head. And to your point, you're right. It is kind of Stockholm syndrome. And he did just break in that moment, I'm sure. That like, oh, really? But like, it's still, like, to your point, it doesn't make sense because he was able to do all the things that he already had been able to do up until that point.
That's
what
I'm saying. Like,
he would have
already been able to handle it.
Also not smoking. He's not drinking. He's on this whole clean path. I think he would have had the realization sooner for sure. But
again, I do think the Mikey trauma is tied with it.
That's the biggest. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, like the fact that, it just like everything that you said earlier.
He can't separate
for sure.
them from each other.
Right.
So that's why I think
he associates it with the death of his brother, and it's a really important reason why he probably puts blame
And I think
on
that's
that chef.
basically what the resentment is. Like, I was getting called a piece of shit by you when I was getting calls that my brother was dead.
Right.
And that's really what it is. But he just needed to hear the words. He basically needed to hear Joel McHale say, like, I don't think you're a piece of shit. And he did in so many words.
Yeah. That's
true.
That
guy is a dick.
Right.
He clearly
is just a dick without this whole thing happening.
Yeah, he's an arrogant asshole.
Right.
But he also is very good and skilled and talented. But also, in terms of being like...
Not anymore. They implied it, too.
Right.
Like,
but I'm saying, like,
anymore.
I don't think that he is, like, mean. I think he's just an arrogant dick. And I think the kitchen thing is just his technique.
Right.
That he's that type of chef. But I don't think he's mean, because if he were just mean, he could have just blown Carmi off.
Right.
But he responded thoughtfully. It wasn't nice, but he wasn't being mean. He was just being honest.
They also slowly revealed the dialogue that was happening with them when they were in the kitchen, and you realize later in the season that, like, he wasn't just calling him an asshole the whole time. He was trying to make him better, what you're saying.
The things were actual improvements.
Right.
Like, you're not going fast enough. You need to do this. That's too much this. Like, whatever.
Right.
And
but I also think
he's
that
basically saying, if you want to be at the highest level, like, you got to operate and think as quickly as as quickly as I'm putting you down.
But I also think that the point that they're trying to make too throughout a lot of that dialogue is that you don't have to be that kind of person to be the best chef. You know?
That is 100%.
That is definitely what they're saying. By the fact that he's not a happening chef anymore, by the fact that,
well, and
in a way, it seemed like he looked up to, like Carmi looked up to him in a weird way.
Well, of course he did. He looked up to all of them. But that's also why they're juxtaposing all of the positive kitchen experiences he had with this.
Right.
This one just had such a negative impact on it that it ruined all of those positive ones. It even ruined... And that's why they also start cutting back to him with Sid when they agreed it would be a partnership and that it would be different this time. And that he's straying away from it and becoming Joel McHale. And they juxtapose it with, here you had an opportunity to not be like him, but you're being like him instead, even though you hate him and you don't want to be like him.
Right.
And you learn from all these other people who do it differently and the right way. And you are your own worst enemy here.
Right. Yeah, dude, that's
like
what...
you turned into what you hate.
They're both really, like, thinking about it again now, they both soured it for themselves. Like, their relationship, they both fucked it up in their own ways, and Sid wouldn't have done what she's doing now if he would have stuck to the fucking plan. For sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Carmi is at fault in terms of Carmi and Sydney.
But he's at fault, and he's at the same time almost the reason why they're all there, and it's like...
That's
it's
right.
the weirdest way to handle it, too.
That is why he can... That is why he is so much like Joel McHale, because that's what I was explaining earlier. He did so much for all of those people to bring them up, and he did it while being a raging lunatic.
Right.
Now, McHale is an emotionless lunatic, but Carmi just does the same thing, but with anger.
Right.
But yeah, it's tough. It really does a great job of showing just how difficult that balance is, because he is making it.
Right.
But
then
that's when the dude pulls Sydney into the cooler. I was like, hey, come on. And here's the thing, though. That guy's right. She's leaving both of these people fucking dangling here.
Yep.
Carmi doesn't know it, so he doesn't care.
She's leading everybody on, even that other guy,
Yeah, but that's right. If I'm that guy, he's like, yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Like, what do you know? And she's like, yep, still thinking about it. If I'm that guy in that moment, I'd be like, you got to let me know by like Friday.
Yeah.
Like, still be nice about it. But he's just like, okay, well, let me
He's
know.
like, it's being a thing now.
He's like, I'm looking at like spaces to lease out. Like, we're going to build the kitchen pretty soon.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and she's just like, okay, I'll still take my time. It's like, how does a chef not have a sense of urgency?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
make a fucking move.
Yeah, it's rough.
Because
That was the end of it. I was like, I don't really care about what you do at this point, to be honest, dude.
And the fact that she's like, oh, really? It's like, you're at the last service of Ever. He works at Ever. He needs, he needs a fucking job. Like
that's
you
also
somehow
part of the
don't-
reason why he probably did it.
How does she not need a job? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. It's absurd.
It's absurd that she would just leave it dangling like that. And then
A lot
that's
of
when
the
the chef of
emotional-
Ever
yeah.
talks to Carmi, and they have a great talk, though,
Yeah.
where she's basically like,
I don't know.
yeah. She's basically like, I feel just how you feel. You're on the same path I went on right now.
Yep.
And
it's
fucking-
good that happened, because if not, he was really not, not feeling great after that fucking conversation with that asshole. So it's like, to have a nice, uplifting, motivating conversation with one of your old bosses is the least you can have, At least you can ask for the closing of a restaurant,
absolutely. And the
Because she's also done with it, too. So I don't know what he was expecting to hear from her. I don't know if I thought he was ready for more bad news, like more negativity about the path that he's on. But I'm glad that she said what she said, like it's okay to be unsure of what's about to happen,
right.
Because of the financial part, too. You're thinking about that the whole time,
It
That's
seems like you are. Your anxiety about money consciousness, I think,
it's
was
crazy.
just really pushed to
It's
the edge.
crazy. Well, because you just see so much more of the uncle in those last few. It feels like he's like preying on them. He starts showing up more. It's like weird. You're like, get out of here, dude. Let them do their thing.
They're in debt to him.
I know.
Debtors need to collect. That's how that works. I mean, he is also like family adjacent and all that stuff too. So it's not like
Put on a suit and get in service, Mister. I need money.
that guy wouldn't be able to do that.
He go work the beef window.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like so it's going to a point where either Carmi's basically either going to learn to go the other way or he's going to double down. And you know what I mean? Like they're alluding to
Like he's just gonna be an asshole all the time.
yes, he's either going to be the like dictator, severe, harsh head chef forever, and it's going to go that way, or he's going to finally open up and learn everything that he should have learned that they're throwing in our face on the show, where it's like, the answers are all right in front of you, dude. Like, don't be like the guy who ruined your life.
Right.
And I feel like it's basically like however it goes with Claire's, however it's going to go in the restaurant.
Yep.
And that's what it's heading towards. And then
Oh, I don't like that. That means that what I think is going to happen with their happily ever after might not even come true at all.
That's
so rough.
They have a party at Sydney's, and they all have fun with frozen food, which another side that I love to show is how much, like, chefs
don't give a fuck about what's in their fridge.
But, like, not even the fact that Sydney was embarrassed, the opposite. The fact that the chef was like, I fucking love Tombstone.
Yeah.
Because what are you eating? You're coming home late at night throwing something in. And on top of that, like, that shit is good. That's what I hate.
Facts.
People that are pretentious about restaurants are the people that eat at them and think that they're better than shit. Chefs are not like that at all.
Another
Chefs
reason
love
why
McDonald's.
Sid's character is not fun. She's like,
Right.
oh my God, dude, look at my fridge. It's
Right.
like, bro, we're starving.
Yeah, like, you're telling me Anthony Bourdain, like, that guy was always like, drink a fucking High Life and have a tamale. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
that's what it's all about. So then they go there, and then this is when the montage happens, and Sid basically has a breakdown, and Yeah, I get it. You hate her. And then she has a breakdown and basically is like, wow, the same things we've been discussing. Where I'm at is because of Carmi, positively and negatively. He took everything so far, and we've all come so far, but I want to fucking leave because he's also the reason that I'm miserable. And basically this whole show is just like, at what point in your restaurant career are you? And it's the same no matter what.
Yeah.
Like the lady at Ever was exactly where Carmi's at and where Sid was at and where Richie, you know what I mean? They're all just at a different stage, but to be at the like Michelin level that these people are at, it's all one experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's kind of interesting to just watch everybody be at basically just a different point of the same story.
That's very interesting. That's a hot take for sure. I like that perspective.
And then,
I think that's a
lastly,
good way to cap that season off. You like really are feeling it.
lastly,
Yeah, the kicker.
which I think I saw coming the whole time. Reviews
I
out.
didn't.
It's mid. Cicero's whole thing. Well, he's having those flashes throughout the season
Yeah,
of good review, bad review, bad review, good review. Like, what could it be?
right.
And then it's basically just like, yeah, some of it's really great. Some of it's not that great. It's like the worst option is a mid review.
Right. I was under the impression that it was a bad review.
No, because there were like positives in it.
You think so?
They showed it on screen.
I
It's a weird thing to ask an opinion of. Yes, I think so.
Right on.
Let me see how it is described in the recap. To his anger, the review is mixed.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
not negative. That's mixed.
Mixed is not good.
Mixed means some are good, some are bad.
I get your point. I think that mixed is bad though to him, you know? The guy wanted a good one.
Yeah, if you twist words around, then yes, you're correct. But we're saying the same thing. Yes, the review was disappointing because the restaurant is now basically at risk of closing. So they say. Now, if we're just going to be real about one thing, the Chicago Tribune food review doesn't mean anything to anybody. Who the fuck is reading the Chicago Tribune? You can't click on any of their articles unless you have an internet subscription to their
Awful.
thing.
I've
So
never read a Chicago Tribune food review.
that's
unless
exactly
it
my
was
point.
printed in front of me.
So I don't think anybody gives a fuck about them specifically, but that's not really the point that they're trying to make.
No, you're right.
So we're going on almost 2 hours here. So real quickly, we have 13 minutes or less to say what did you think and what's going to happen season 4. Go.
But wait, I want to ask you one
Jesus
thing. Duh.
You're a fucking idiot. Go ahead.
Do you think that Anthony Bourdain would watch this show if he was alive?
That's a dumb question.
Is it? I thought
Would he watch it? Of course.
Do you think he would like it?
He would praise it.
Oh, that's
He would
it.
call it the most accurate portrayal of a kitchen that I've ever seen on screen because that's what it is. He would be on it if he were alive at some point. What do you mean?
That's real. I was wondering what you thought.
But what do you think? He would have hated. He wouldn't.
No,
have liked it?
I agree.
I mean,
agree.
of course he would have liked it.
Yeah. It's a great show.
It's basically Kitchen Confidential. Like the first season is Kitchen Confidential.
I think that the third season was, by and large, it was like, for 2 episodes out of the 10 for me to be crying through most of it, I just think it's like my favorite season of the 3.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be received a little differently. I feel like some people aren't really going to be into it as much.
But that's just fatigue. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
based
real.
on the right stuff.
And like I get it. I think that, you kind of talked about like the filler feel for some of those episodes. I get it. I definitely feel that same way for some of them.
But that's what shows are like.
But that's exactly. That's shows are meant to have like I also really love, this is my favorite episode or favorite season because it fucked with the pace of the show every episode in its own way. And it was really fun to feel those jumps and then not feel them for a little bit. They did it a little bit in 2. They did like that Christmas episode, the 7 Fishes, right? Isn't that what that one's called? Like that time jump was super fun, but really like they didn't do it a lot until this one. And it was super fucking fun.
Right. Because it also it's disorienting, just like being trapped in that cycle. It's like, has 20 days gone by, or has this been one shift? I have no idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, to your point, the money stuff stressed me out a lot just because I loved the uncle coming in
But there's just no stakes to it. It's just fake.
and I
Like to begin with, they're like, yeah, you're $500,000 in debt. Cool, I'll put another $300,000 into this. It's like,
let's get
okay,
another $2,500
let's
worth
just
of butter.
file for bankruptcy and then it's all fine.
Yeah,
Like, this is the
some of
dumbest
it,
idea ever.
You know what I mean?
The figures are just too unrealistic.
I loved it because it almost it was it's like a make believe dramatic.
But there's
restaurant,
no
and it's
actual
fun.
pressure on anybody because Carmi hasn't responded to it at all.
Right.
You know, if he like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, if there are real stakes in that the restaurant would just close, but he doesn't respond to them.
And he thinks
He's
that
like,
that's the
stop
way to
spending
solve
money
it.
or we're
Right.
gonna close, and then he just goes, we'll just get a good review and then we'll be fine. But it's like, now you get the point.
Yeah, so I think that for, happily ever after with Claire, I think that he's going to quit the restaurant and then he's going to put Sid in charge.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think that, there is not much that we're going to do about this ever offer. I think that
she's just gonna.
it's just not going to happen.
Episode 1, she's just gonna call him and be like, "Hey, I decided to stay with the bear." Sorry.
Yeah.
And they'll just blow it off. Yeah,
Yep.
I could see that happening.
I think that, that's all I'm going to keep it at. I don't really care about any of the other storylines, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, because everybody that works
it's the
there
only
is going to
storyline.
stay there.
It's the
so
only, but it was the only storyline.
Right.
That's what we said as we talked about. There was no real. There was one storyline.
Yep.
They need a review, and Sydney might leave.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it. And to be honest, I'm saying it again. I don't like Sid's character. I think that she should, make up your goddamn mind.
Yeah, you're the only one in that boat.
Right on.
I would say season 2 was not much better, but season 2 was better for me. The highs were higher and there were less lows. Like the lows were higher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
this season is the hardest one for them to make because season 1 came with 0 expectations. Season 2 came with high expectations, but increase in interest and budget and time and availability and all of the all new resources, so they had a lot more to do. Now, season 3 was about maintaining season 2's resources and quality. It's just about maintenance, and that's just a way harder thing to do. It's kind of like your debut records, like all your old ideas, and then your second one's like the creative one, and then your third one's the we're rich and famous. Here's music about being rich and famous. That's kind of where they're at. So
That's a great analogy.
I think I may have heard that and stole that. There's a chance.
Right on. We'll
But
find out what it is and let you know.
It would have been on The Watch. Andy Greenwald, shout out.
Okay.
Love that guy.
You
Love
heard
that
it
show.
about the bear? No.
I think it was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those are very talented people out there doing a lot of things like this, Justice.
Right on.
I'm not going to be the only one putting out a podcast about this show. I hate to break it to you.
Right on. That makes sense.
But I would say, yeah, it's still a higher level than season 1. There's a whole lot more going on. Again, the highs are super high. Like episode 1 was breathtaking for me. The Tina episode was excellent. And like I said, I'm sitting there with a stupid fucking smile on my face, just amped up. I love being with these characters, and that hasn't changed. They've continued. Like I said, all they've done is make everybody more likable except Carmi and Sid because they're in the middle of a bunch of shit.
Yep.
But it was great. Yeah, I loved it. As far as season 4 goes, again, this show has been unpredictable the whole time, really.
Right.
Which is
Agreed.
good. Not that they've really thrown any curveballs either. It just goes like, oh, I didn't really think about that possibility. or like I said, like something like you said with potentially her just bailing on Ever really quickly. They do that a lot where it's like, oh, you thought this was going to be a whole thing. Nah,
Yeah.
we'll just move right on.
Right.
The way I can see it going is he tries to talk to Claire, fumbles the bag.
Oh my God.
Like, just can't say the right thing and just makes her more upset. Or they have a nice, honest talk, and she's just like, I appreciate all this, and I forgive you, but,
Not
like,
into
I'm
it.
not coming back. Like, that was crazy and all that.
Right.
I think I think they don't end up together. I think Sydney leaves forever. Get it?
Yeah.
And then
that's
I think
really good.
But I think the bear pulls through.
Right.
They become profitable, whatever.
And she's bitter to the bitter end.
No. It works out.
Oh.
Maybe Richie even leaves and goes and joins them. And I
Oh.
think slowly, piece by piece, everyone leaves.
Oh.
And he's alone with
Oh
a
my
whole new,
God.
like an entire new kitchen, and he's crushing it. And they have stars and whatever, but he just never breaks out of it. And everybody leaves.
Damn.
And then the show ends.
That'd be fucked up.
That's my prediction.
That's a hot take.
Book it. Hey, if you made it 2 fucking hours into my hot take,
You deserve
you
it.
deserve. Yeah, exactly. It took fucking long enough. Oh boy! So the bear, we love the show.
Hands.
This might be the longest episode of this show. Like we've definitely done,
2-hour episodes.
but then broken it into 2 parts. I think.
yeah, you're gonna do this all in one.
Oh, this is one. Yeah, we've maybe done one other 2-hour episode. That would be it.
Was it
Maybe
Denis?
2. No. It would have been with you, or if not several other people.
I mean, yeah, it's a great show.
I'd have
you
to
know?
go through it, but there's maybe 1 or 2 other episodes this long. So that's a treat. That's the All-Star treatment for the best show on television.
Facts.
If they did film back-to-back, then they will certainly... Honestly, what would be hard as fuck is if they did surprise drop on like Thanksgiving or Christmas for season 4. That's a tall task.
If you call that, I wish we could put money on
but
that.
I mean, they were filming in spring and it's out now, so they can turn around episodes that quickly. I just don't know if like Hulu's gonna want to hold it. Like if they truly did back to back, they'll be done soon.
right.
So if they're done, I would love it if it came out earlier. I think that would be really smart on their part, especially if it'll be the last season on top of that, or even if it won't. And then they could still have the 5th season then come out in June. And you know what I mean? Like, a lot of possibilities to how that could go. But if it is the final season and they've already filmed it, it should just come out sooner. Thanksgiving would be huge.
I just wish we've run into Jeremy Allen White before. He's always walking around here.
I thought that they were filming it near my work, but they were filming something else, I think. But I never saw one actor in general, seemingly.
Damn.
But they were there for a minute. Yeah, I know. I would love to run into that guy.
Yeah.
I'd probably rather...
He's a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd probably rather like to run into...
Richie?
No, Io.
Oh, nice.
Just because she's like younger
Yeah.
and she's like a comedian and stuff. I feel like I could talk to her a lot easier.
That's crazy that she directed that episode.
She's very talented.
That's fucking sick.
That's what I'm saying. The show can only last so much longer. These people aren't going to be able to fucking accept the checks anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, my
Like,
God.
all right.
Cheap shows,
So
huh?
that was The Bear season 3. We did a season 1 episode, a season 2 episode. Check those all out. Check every fucking thing we got out. Links in the description below. Rate, review, subscribe, share. Requiem for a Tuesday. Everywhere. All the time. Fuck yeah. I'm exhausted. This episode is over. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, I are fat. You are fat. We are fat. Calculator, chef.
See ya. Wait, I want to talk about for 1 minute. Let's see if I can get through Kinds of Kindness.
Go. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. When this episode hits 2 hours, it will end, no matter how far he gets. Go.
Okay. All right. Emma Stone. Willem Dafoe. Jesse Plemons. You love Jesse Plemons. You gotta see. I feel like you would really enjoy it. It's 3 different fables about a man named RF. Something's going on. Someone's calling me. Wait, I don't think.
Just don't answer the phone yet.
I didn't.
You have a minute left.
I know. I'm trying to really pack it all into one. So I don't want to reveal anything, but I will say every character in every story might be possibly connected to one another throughout all 3 of the stories in this movie. It's a long movie. It's like an hour 45.
That's not long.
I, I mean, it's almost 2 hours.
That's called a movie. It's not called a long movie.
Oh, right on. Well, I'm glad that you think that, you know? Oh, 30 seconds. Or so I think it takes place somewhere in the South. There's a really sick car at the end too.
Cool.
And
And you can listen to shows just as high of a quality like this if you listen to Microwave Minutes.
that's
This is
so true.
that is top tier podcasting. That last minute and a half.
It really was. So in the last 5 seconds, I want to say microwaveminutes.com.
What a review!